Hi,
All right.
everybody. Hi, Jean. This is Jean,
Hi.
everybody. We decided we'd come on and do a little Zoom chat, just for sort of our local community, really, and see how you're all doing, and just have a little chat about the things that we're doing in our local community, because we're neighbours, aren't we, Jean?
Yes, it's a bit ridiculous to be having a Zoom when it's about 25 steps to your back door.
I know, but literally, it's, we do our incredible edible, well, we did do our incredible edible gardening together, and we could literally just go out the back gates and do the gardening. But yeah, so it's a little bit strange right now, and I'm sure a lot of you are finding it really strange as well, and that you'll all be having your own little Zoom meetings or other little house party app things, whatever they're called, getting together with your friends right now just to get through these difficult times. So just to let you know what's sort of going on in Brandlesham at the moment, Jean, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you know about what's happening in our little area?
Yes, around our estate, there's about 5 people who are currently self-isolating and are asking for help. 3 people need shopping, and a couple of people have asked for medication to be brought from the chemist.
Yeah.
And there's at least one person with the sign that we distributed to everybody on our estate, currently in her window. So hopefully she's getting her neighbours to just knock on the door.
Yeah.
Just some my personal experience, because I'm also helping a couple of people in Ratcliffe through Bury Council's volunteering scheme. But what I'm finding is, yes, they want you to do the shopping, but when you ring them back to tell them how much it is or whatever, then you spend about half an hour on the phone because basically they're lonely.
Yeah, that's what
I've been finding.
Yeah.
And what's really difficult is at the time, you necessarily feel that you haven't got the time because you've just done the shopping.
Yeah.
You've got to take it round and you've got everything else in your house to do. So you have to stop yourself and you have to realise this is the only conversation they're having today with anybody.
Yeah.
So that's the real need. The real need isn't shopping. In fact, some of the things that I'm getting for them, they don't really need. What they need is a phone call after, and then the half an hour that it takes really to listen to them. Yeah, which is very sad. And that makes me think, there's how many people are there out there who are not asking for shopping but really need a phone call.
Yeah, and probably wouldn't admit either that they need the chat more than the shopping, because we're all, really quite self-sufficient, and we don't like to think of ourselves as being emotionally needy, although it's just such a natural part of who we are to need that human contact. That I agree with you that the lady that I spoke to yesterday, we spent, I thought it'd just be a 5-minute phone call, get a shopping list, but you're right, she needed that interaction, and I didn't actually have to say a great deal.
No, you just
she just needed to talk. So I suppose the one thing that we can say to people in our local area is, look, if you've got half an hour to just phone up your friends or people who you know are on their own, or just to be able to make contact like this, if we can we're going to put this out on social media, so if you are stuck at home and you need someone to talk to, you need somebody else to talk to. Obviously there's the Samaritans, but there's the Bury volunteering group, which people are there to be able to take phone calls and listen. Is that right, Jean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And if we can, and we have got the time, or there are people out there that can actually volunteer to just talk to somebody for half an hour, then please do get in touch with Bury Volunteering Group and put your services forward. And it's good for us all to talk, and really that's why I'm doing these little videos now, because if you are alone and you are isolated, then get in touch, and I'm quite happy to do a little interview with you, and we can have that time together and actually then sharing a part of yourself with the wider community, who then might be able to get in touch and offer you a little bit more support like this, face to face, so you're not feeling quite as isolated. How does that sound, Jean?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, I think if everybody could do that, it's going to make a big difference. Right, I've just lost your voice. I've lost your voice.
Right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can, yeah.
Okay. Right, well, it's going to be interesting when we when I listen to this back as to whether you can actually hear me, because my speaker's saying it's not working. But if you can hear me, Jean, then it must be, surely.
Well, there's a little blue thing in the corner and it went red for a minute. So
that's because I then pressed the button because it said it's not working. You know, don't we just love technology? It's a learning curve every single day. It really is. You should have
seen us this morning. I was connected to Bolton at 10 o'clock, and then I had to connect Phil to Zoom at 10:30. And then I was running backwards and forwards like an idiot.
It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, this. I'm sure this is the same in many households who've got a family and people who are working. You know, I've got Brian in the next room, and he's still working, so he's on Zoom meetings or Blue Jeans or whatever it is every other hour, and that's usually my working space. So it's taken it over. So I've sort of now come back into my treatment room, which is usually just for treatments and ironing, I must admit. And I'm now sort of crammed into my little corner here, which doesn't have a desk. It's just got my little cabinet. And we're all sort of finding our own space. I mean, I think earlier I was in the garden, wasn't I? But I just couldn't see the screen. So I think I've moved around the whole house because I've also got 3 boys. 21, 19, 17, who are, you know, all doing their own thing. We've got music going on. We've got Brian doing this Zoom, me doing this one. Like, one's still in bed, and you know, another one's on his PlayStation. So we're sort of plugged in our own little ways, but still managing to function as a family. And I think that's what this is teaching us as well, isn't it? It's how we all start to find our, not just being at home and being together, but also finding your own little spaces where you can do something that is important to you, to feel like you've got your own little area to communicate, whether that's internally or externally to friends. So let us know how you're all getting on. And what else have you been doing, Jean, at home to sort of keep you and Phil occupied?
Well, obviously I'm finishing off stuff for the degree. But I'm finding that's really weird. And I'm hopping from one subject to another and not really settling down properly. Right. It might be better now that we've managed to hook up today with the lecturer, and we can get back to regular sessions, although they're online. But at least we can see each other.
See, from me watching you and hearing you, I find that really quite strange, because you are so focused.
I know, but I'm not now.
You're really focused, and for you to be flitting from one thing to another is, I think, it's really unusual for you. So that's how it's sort of affecting you, is it? This situation, you're struggling to sort of focus on one thing.
Yeah, and it's almost like, you know, the end of the degree is being pushed back, and I understand that because the tutors are being very understanding, and they're accepting that they have missed 2 weeks of lecturing. So they're pushing the dates back, and that's the worst thing that can happen for me, because I need deadlines. Right. That's what makes me focus. And the more they push the dates back, the worse it'll get, because I'll just start to lose it, you know, just think, oh, well, it doesn't matter. Whereas I've got my deadlines up on the wall since the beginning of January, and now they're moving them backwards.
Can you not stick to the original deadlines?
Well, that's what I've got to focus on now. Right. I've already made some fantastic decisions, like whatever books we're still to look at, I'll read them, but I'm not going to spend any time on them. I've got my essays in my head now, what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to have to get down and do them.
Yeah.
And if I finish early, I finish early. I just have to accept that that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, finish early, and then just, you know, just go to the rest of the online lectures and participate. But yeah, that's what I found. I'm losing focus.
And how are you finding sort of you're doing quite a bit of shopping for the community as well. How are you finding fitting all that in?
Well, that's quite easy, because what I'm doing is I'm going out early in the car with Daisy, parking at Tesco's, going around the back of Tesco's on the walk around there, and then coming back and doing the shopping.
Right.
For whoever I'm doing the shopping, and if I've got my own shopping as well. So that's being efficient around only doing the shopping, but also making sure Daisy has a walk.
Yeah.
And then in the afternoon, we're going out for the one official walk that was allowed to have.
Yeah.
So that's working really well. That's working well. And on the way to our afternoon walk, I dropped the shopping off.
Yeah.
So again, it's working really well, that. It's working very, very well. And, you know, the people are really appreciative of shopping.
Yeah, they are.
There's one or two stories that I might write up later without breaching any confidences around people. I'll just tell you this one about somebody who's desperate for shopping, absolutely desperate, when that person asked the volunteer service, could somebody do the shopping? And then when you speak to them, the things that they're asking for, there's no desperation about some of them. And then they say things like, I don't want my shopping from Tesco's. I want you to go to the Co-op, or I want you to go to this shop or that shop. And you think, that's a very desperate call for help.
Yeah, that's a really good, but that's a really good point, isn't it, actually? Sort of people having to readjust their thinking to being able to just go out wherever they want, get whatever they want.
Yeah.
And now the restrictions are that, you know, there's not the brand that you want in that shop. There's not, I'm not even going to mention toilet rolls, but I have to, or pasta or the bread or the really basic things that we've taken for granted are now not necessarily on the shelves. And people are making adjustments to that, and some are quicker than others, aren't they?
Yeah.
And the anxiety that people attach to that is very, very real. And I think the next thing that I'm going to come to is how many people out there are struggling with the thought of actually going outside is terrifying some people. And yet having some sort of fresh air, it is really important for your lungs and for your breathing. Yeah. And just being able to get some sort of fresh air in your system is really important right now from a sensible point of view. But that anxiety that builds up for a lot of people, it actually holds in the chest, and they can get very confused between the symptoms and just anxiety, which sort of gets tighter and tighher in the chest. Really. So,
and you and I know that when somebody's like that, the very best thing they can do is go for a walk.
Yeah.
And yet the very thing they can't do.
Yeah.
Mentally, they can't make that step, can they?
No.
But it would be fantastic if they could.
Even if they can just sort of stand at the window and open up the window. So if even that's all you can do is stand at the window, open the window and put something on the internet or Spotify or whatever resources that you've got to be able to play nature's sounds, and close your eyes and just breathe in as if you're actually in the outside. That's really going to help you mentally have that picture of just being by the water, of just being outside in the sunshine. And just being by that window is the biggest recommendation that I can make, with nature's sounds around you, if you can do that. It's a really simple but effective tool to closing your eyes and not feeling quite as encased in those four walls. But to bring things to a head, Jean, thank you ever so much for sharing everything. Do get in touch if you want to have a chat with me. We can share what you're up to locally. And we're wishing you all well in this time, these very, very strange times. We're wishing Boris a very speedy recovery. And
we are. Yeah.
Love to you all. Take care. Thanks, Jean.
Okay.